Dale, we're in Austin, Texas at the FloSports corporate headquarters. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a flow-related question. You own your own media company. You spend a ton of time, obviously, in broadcasting motorsports. Things have changed a lot in the world of broadcasting, especially in motorsports in the last 5 or 6 years. As you kind of take a step back and look at things, particularly from a flow perspective, how do you see flow fitting into the world? How do you think we're doing? Just from your lens, 20,000-foot view, assess flow in this current landscape of motorsports.
Well, it's a long question, but or a long answer, actually. So probably let's go back about 10 years. I was curious as a fan of motorsports, particularly a fan of short track racing, always curious about who was racing where, who was finishing where, how this local was doing at Langley, how this other guy might be doing down at Florence, South Carolina, who was racing at all of the tracks that I was familiar with and how they were doing week to week. And we really had no way of knowing, no way of viewing, no way of seeing any of that. And I stumbled upon Flow, and you had acquired the opportunity to stream live action, basically one camera right off the top of the press box at Langley, and you piped into the audience or the audio of the track announcer, and it was incredible. I couldn't believe that I had this access that I'd never had before. And fast forward to today, any given weekend, I can tune into multiple racetracks, multiple races to see how not only regional series are doing, but I can also watch a touring series like the Cars Tour. The access and the convenience that this has provided, I think it's something, and I say it quite often, I think we really truly take it for granted. Because years ago, we didn't have the ability to be able to view and see these competitions, these races happening. And you'd have to hear secondhand about how this, the local hero had been beaten by the young kid that's come up to the ranks. And so it's a lot of fun. And I think that Flow was one of the very first streaming platforms that embraced the regional local show. And so I have a lot of respect and appreciation for Flow because of that. And I think it's become a great home for the Cars Tour. So I think Flow is still finding its audience. There's still people that are new to what Flow can provide. I'm still learning all of the things that Flow can a Flow customer like myself can experience. And the access to so many different sports on any given weekend. And so, and I think everyone's on that, that road to discovery of what a streaming platform like Flow can provide. And so I'm feeling very fortunate, I think, as a Cars Tour series owner to be on the front end of this new frontier in streaming. So I think we're right where we need to be, right where we're supposed to be.
We have about 2,000 races a year on Flow. Obviously, you're most locked in probably to the pavement stuff, the Cars Tour, Langley, all that. Do you have a recollection of maybe the weirdest motorsports thing you've ever watched on Flow? Was it a snowmobile race? Do you ever have one night where you're like, I didn't even know they had that, and this was kind of crazy?
Yeah, I think I don't know if abstract's the word, but there are some you guys provide so many different sports and so many different levels of, from high school, obscure colleges. I was watching football the other day of some teams that I'd never heard of in my life, but
on Flow.
On Flow. And so it's Flow has a lot of purpose, but one of them is to be able to service certain communities and be able to access the game from many, many miles away, or see a local race at a track that's 6 hours away. And so the convenience that y'all provide is incredible. But yeah, snowmobile racing is probably one of the more obscure events that I've seen. I think ice racing, there's all kinds of random stuff on there from time to time.
Those guys are nuts, by the way.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's very physical.
Let me start here with this one. I have a few random questions about motorsports. What is cool to you about 410 wing sprint car racing? Just so that I'll leave it there. What's cool to Dale Earnhardt Jr. about 410 sprint car racing?
Well, I had grown up watching asphalt and dirt Sprint Car, World Outlaw, all types of different. I've grown up watching that, but I'd never seen it in person. And so, I think motorsports in general has just gotten faster in 20 years. In the last 20 or 30 years that I've been a fan and been paying attention, just pure speed of motorsports has increased. But to be able to go to an event and stand there and watch how quick those cars go around that racetrack and how much throttle there is, but also how much precision the drivers are using as the track continues to change and evolve throughout the race, throughout the night. It's incredible. And it's so physical. The tracks are imperfect, and they have things that develop throughout the race, ruts and potholes and things that the drivers are having to, find their way around. And, when you're looking at it, it's a race car, 4 tires, an engine, steering wheel. There's a lot of power, but I've seen power in other forms of motorsport, in terms of the physical engine itself. But to stand in the turn, to get as close as you can get at an event, to watch one of the cars go through the corner it's crazy. It's really crazy. And to see, and to see them out there doing this around each other, multiple cars on the racetrack, and the split decision choices they have to make depending on the line the guy in front of them's running. It's heroic. It's really impressive to watch. So I'm a pavement guy. I grew up racing asphalt, and I'm going to always have a special place in my heart for pavement racing. But the guys that run, dirt, whether it's in a late model or a sprint car, winged, non-winged, that discipline is one of a kind. And it's truly impressive to see somebody out there doing it.
Let's switch to the Cars Tour for a second. I know your schedule was incredibly busy, so some people may sit back and say, why do this, right? You don't need to buy the Cars Tour. You're between broadcasting and just your legacy in motorsports. And you've probably answered this question before, but I really want to know, why did you do it?
Yeah.
Why were you like, this is something I must own? Why'd you do it?
Well, the series was in a really good spot. We've been racing as owners in the series for over a decade at Junior Motorsports. So we've had a car that's raced in the Cars Tour for quite a while, and we've really enjoyed being a part of it. And we feel like we've kind of ingrained ourselves in the DNA along with all of the other owners and competitors that have been in the series for quite a while. And Jack, who was the original owner of the series, came to me one day and said, I'm sort of getting up there in age, and I'm looking at the future of the series. I want it to be in good hands. And he approached me about the idea of putting together some folks to buy it. So that's what we did. I wanted to continue to compete in the series, so I wanted to shepherd it into the future. And I got with Kevin Harvick. Honestly, this conversation happened on a golf cart in the bus lot at Bristol Motor Speedway. I said, Kevin, I'm thinking about buying into this series. And he says, I'm in.
Didn't take a lot of convincing.
Yeah. He's like, let's do it. Let's do it. Me and Kevin, have been friends, and we've had our bumps in the road as competitors over the years. But he's a very ambitious businessman, and I thought that he could bring a lot to the team, the group that we put together. Jeff Burton is part of the ownership group as well. His position, whether it be in broadcasting or within safety, all of the different roles that he's played in his career and continues to play, and the asset he is to NASCAR and motorsports in general, I thought he'd be a great individual to be part of the team. And Justin Marks, he has a very unique approach to marketing, to how he's growing his own business and race team. And so all of us come at it with totally different expertise, right? And we're all an asset in a unique way to the whole thing. So felt like that was a pretty neat team to put together. And it's been a lot of fun seeing the series develop and improve. We've been able to bring a lot more money to our competitors and in our purses and so forth throughout the years. We've been able to our streaming numbers and success on Flo comparable to where we were before we were on Flo are insane. So everything is pointing upwards. And, the series has a very specific geographical footprint when it comes to the late model stock car, but we also have the pros that is a national car. It's all over the country from coast to coast. And so there's a lot of opportunity for the tour. We have the Cars Tour West. And so there's a ton of ambition and ideas of where we can grow and how we can grow for the future.
I say it all the time. When I'm hosting FloRacing Night in America, I'm promoting the other shows that are on Flo. I say, don't forget the Cars race is coming up. I say all the time, without question, in my opinion, it is the best form of pavement racing on the planet right now. That includes everything. That's Cup, that's everything. Tell me why I'm right about that, because I think I'm right about that. Yeah. It's the best pavement racing on the planet. Am I right?
I like to think that we do a really good job. And I feel like that our racing is very competitive, very aggressive. Our drivers are young, new upstarts. We have the veterans. We have guys that are career Cars Tour, late model stock racers or pro racers. So we have a big wide range of different personalities. And it is a series where we hope that a lot of young guys were going to come in and try to develop the racecraft. And to see them go through that process, make the mistakes, right, and how the veterans have to handle and deal with that, that dynamic is very interesting. It's reality television, right? Yeah. And these drivers, these names are created in our series, and they go on into the trucks and Xfinity, and they take that racecraft and that knowledge and those things that they've learned in the Cars Tour, and they go on to greater things. And we've seen a lot of drivers come out of our series with the tools to be successful. And so we feel like the series absolutely develops race car drivers. But the competition, it's tight, it's close. At qualifying for our events, I race in them. I get my tail handed to me. It's humbling. The qualifying will be, just a couple tenths from first to the back of the field. There's no bad cars in the Cars Tour. And so anybody can win one night and qualify 15th, 20th the next week, and it's just a very, very competitive field. So, I think too the cars are relatable. They're beautiful looking race cars.
They are good looking cars.
Like the late model stock body is just a good looking car. I think that's appealing to fans when they see the cars on the racetrack. And I hear a lot of this from competitors, fans. Our series reminds them of what they experienced in either the NASCAR Xfinity Series or even the Cup Series back in the 80s and 90s. It has that feel, and we want to, and that's really kind of been the identity of the Cars Tour, and we want to hang on to that identity as we grow. We still want to hang on to that feeling, that culture. It's doable. I compare it to junior motorsports when we have a very family-oriented atmosphere in junior motorsports, and it's been difficult to hang on to that as we've grown from 10 employees to 160 employees, but we still have that culture, and everyone there that works there feels it. And so I think that, we can hang on to this identity and continue to, have that vibe about us as we grow and mature as a series. But, growing and maturing and is really all about just finding our audience. We have a very good audience on Flo, but I believe there is an exponential amount of people out there that would watch our races if we could just bring them to the tent, right? Get them in the tent, so to speak.
That was a long way of saying yes. He believes it's the best. I do. It's so tight every week, right? Yeah, that's what I love. Like you said, from the qualifying times, it does remind me of what motorsports used to be like, right? And that's the beautiful thing about it. You're a series owner now, though. Do you find yourself looking at like, man, what's High Limit doing? What's Lucas Oil doing? Do you look at that stuff and do you try to pull some of that stuff?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm very curious. High Limit's been, I think, a great example for all of motorsports to see, how are some new ways you can attack this, and what are some ways that, things can be done differently and successfully. So, there's a lot of history in NASCAR, whether it's the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and there's been a lot of data points to look back on things that they've done well or some missteps, some things maybe that they didn't do well. But when you get something almost brand new, such as high limits, they come in with their own sort of approach to motorsport and how to really tackle it. It's fun to watch. And when you get when they get the support from Flo and you work together, it's just a great example of what could happen in the Cars Tour and so it's not so much about emulating what they do because they're so, dirt and pavement is so different, culture and so forth, and car counts and all of that. But we definitely look at the success that they're having and try to see if there's ways that we can sort of infuse some of the things that they're doing into our own practices to make our weekends better, right? To shorten our events up. How can we make it more consumable? And they do a really good job basically just making I think they prioritize the stream over the at-track experience. The at-track experience is still great. I've been to a high-limit race. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. But they've also prioritized how that stream needs to be consumable for the fan at home. You can't have them up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning and seeing the checkered flag, And so they prioritize that, and that's something I think that we've done as well recently in the past couple of years is to try to figure out how to make our fan streaming experience, what they're watching through Flo, much easier for them to consume.
One of the notes I have here, and I couldn't believe this, a bet I definitely would have lost. You've never attended, forget running the Snowball Derby, you've never attended the Snowball Derby. Not sat in the stands as a fan, nothing?
No.
How did that happen?
I don't know, honestly.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either because it's one of the most important races in the calendar year for pavement late model and short track racing. And not only having not competed in it yet, I've never seen it with my own eyes. But, I think I know a lot of people that have been. Heck, my dad's raced in it. I know, Tony Jr., my cousin, my old crew chief, they're down there with their late models and super late models and so forth every year. And so I'm in touch and in constant contact with people that are down there, but I've never been. I think it'd be fun to go. I'd probably want to race if I went down there and I don't have any business running a super late model. I've never really ran a super, so I don't have too many laps in a super, to be honest with you. But I watched Brad Keselowski and a couple other guys go down there and struggle. So I don't know.
It's a great event, though.
It is. Yeah. I'll see it one day in person. There's a lot of racing all week long, different classes. So there's a lot to enjoy and we'll make that trip.
You touched on this a little bit ago. I think coming from the dirt world, I'm biased about this, there's no doubt. But I think the same thing can be said for the guys that compete in Cars Tour. I think there's this thought amongst the general motorsports fan that, hey, the guys that are competing in Cup on Sunday, without question, unequivocally, these are the best race car drivers in the world, bar none. And they are very good. Mm-hmm. But I believe whether it's the Rico Abreu's or the Butterbeans, these guys, in my opinion, pound for pound, Bobby Pierce, Brad Sweet, they're as talented as the guys competing on Sunday. And I always tease my NASCAR friends, that's a hill I'm willing to die on. Yeah. I don't think I'm that wrong about that. There is wild levels of talent in all of these levels of motorsports, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. You have to believe that if you believe that, the Caden Honeycutts, the Josh Berrys, those drivers that were racing in the regional classes or in the Cars Tour, they are the future stars, the Butterbeans, right? Butterbean is going to go into the Truck Series, going to go into the Xfinity Cup Series one day. He will win on Sunday. Josh Berry, same thing. He's a Sunday winner. Caden Honeycutt will probably become a Sunday winner at some point in the Cup Series. And they were once drivers in the Cars Tour, local late model racing. So I believe that we have those drivers today in our series that'll become Cup regulars or Sunday winners at some point. And that's what I want our series to be known for. I want our series to be looked at as the path to the top. Not an alternate route, not one of many routes, the way to go, right? And so, so I kind of, that's part of what I enjoy that's very comparable to junior motorsports. At junior motorsports, when we have a driver that leaves our building to go race a Cup car, that's a win. That's like winning a race. When somebody gets hired by a Cup team out of our Xfinity team, that's telling me we did a good job giving them the platform to grow and become that person, right? To get that opportunity. Same thing with the Cars Tour. Anytime one of our drivers leaves, I hate that we lost Butterbean. He's got a cult following. He's great for our series.
But you know.
But he got called up.
Yeah.
We're doing it right. We're giving a platform for those guys to be able to get that opportunity, right? So that's what I want the series to be known for.
There was a bit of an online outcry last year, certainly an outcry in the FloSports walls. Can we get Dale Jr. in a midget at the Chili Bowl? A, what are the odds of that ever happening? And B, just your general Chili Bowl thoughts.
Well, I've came very close to going in the past couple of years. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends, family, Carson, Wyatt. I think the Chili Bowl experience is in my future. Hopefully, I don't take the flu home, but I hear it's a lot of fun. I don't think I'll ever race in it. That ship's probably sailed. I wouldn't mind messing around, going out to a track and just kind of learning what that's all about. I don't know that I have what it takes to be a dirt racer or be competitive on the track. And I know, talking to Casey Kane about his experiences over the last several years, if you're not doing it every single week, that is a level that you can't just drop in and be comparable. And we've seen that, with the Chase Elliott's. I applaud those guys like Chase going and doing that.
Kyle Busch now.
Well, Kyle is the kind of guy that's putting in the time, right, to become competitive. But if you're a guy like Chase or myself or somebody that's just going to go and do it once and say, man, I just wanted to do it, you're not going to, rarely will you get in there and be competitive, because you're racing against people that race these cars and drive on these tracks every single night. And they know exactly what's coming, right? And they know how to move and change and what to expect and how to adjust and how to adjust the car, what to ask for from the car. And so it's just, I think it speaks to just how talented all those people are, and it's an elite level of racing, even though it's made up of a lot of local talent, a lot of regional talent, all comes to this one place to do it. They're very, very good at it, right? And so to drop in there and think you're going to be competitive would be pretty crazy. But I would love to just experience it, go drive a car somewhere, and I've probably got connections to be able to do that with young Wyatt and Chad Bode and Carson and all them racing as much as they do, Jimmy Elledge. I could probably get on something and just figure out what it feels like sliding that thing around the track.
Similar to that, almost a bigger event, not bigger. Let me be very Emmett Hahn. I don't want Emmett Hahn yelling at me when I say anything's bigger than the Chili Bowl. But the Gateway Dirt Nationals, this indoor event in December in St. Louis, there was 30,000 people in the Dome for that event last year. Have you been sort of an outside spectator for Gateway? And what have you made of that? Part WWE, part circus, part everything that's going on in the Dome in December.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Kenny's at the center of all of it, too. Kenny Wallace at the center of all of it. Always on top of the car doing whatever, right?
I know it does have an identity that's unique to other things going on in the dirt world, but it's those tentpole events, man, that are so much fun. And I think I got to credit Flo to giving us the ability to find all these events in one place. That's kind of been the difficult thing for a lot of fans like myself is either these events, you didn't have access to them whatsoever. They weren't broadcast, they weren't streamed, or they were in a lot of different places. And you had to have access here and access there and so forth. And so to have a home where it's all there in one place is great. And nothing's just, if you're a subscriber, you've got them all. There's no paywall. You're not being charged for this event and this event. And that's why I'll be honest with you, I'm changing the subject just a little bit. That is one of the reasons why I wanted to be on Flo as a Cars Tour owner, was because we wouldn't be behind a paywall for our customers that wanted to have access to it. If you're a subscriber, you're getting the Cars Tour, and we wouldn't be guaranteed that anywhere else. So I think it's pretty cool to have all these tentpole events, because it's introducing me, a pavement guy, to all of these really cool dirt events that are happening throughout the calendar year that I had no idea were going on, right? I know Kenny Wallace. He's one of my best friends. I know somewhat about where he's racing, but I don't know he's doing these things, and I don't know how else I'd be able to access them and experience them without Flo.
I want to wrap up on this. I'm going to give you a couple names. Just give me a 30-second thoughts. When I say these names, just give me 30-second thoughts. I'm going to start with Rico Abreu. Go ahead.
Man, I'm excited about his deal with Tony Stewart. It's going to be fun seeing those two personalities together. So we were able to announce that deal on our podcast, the Dale Jr. Download. I wish that he would have, we talked about this a little bit, but I wish that he would have had a better opportunity on the pavement stuff to see where that would have went, because obviously he's an incredible talent.
Don't try to steal him from us on the dirt side.
I think he's where he's supposed to be.
Bubba Pollard.
Bubba Pollard, man. I'll be honest. I've really enjoyed getting to know Bubba. We kind of got connected because of Cordeal. We took the Cars tour down there, and I had to bend his ear a little bit about that place, and we raced him in an Xfinity race. And so there's been these moments where it's kind of brought us together, and it's given me an opportunity to kind of create a line of communication with him. And he's larger than life. He's a big personality, and I hope he's got a little left in the tank. I don't know where he is, on the in terms of how much more he's got in his career in terms of driving and so forth. But he's such a critical, important personality in pavement, asphalt, late model racing that I hope he's got another 5-10 years in him.
He's turned into a hell of a dirt track promoter too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
A couple more. Kyle Larson.
Well, there's a million things you could say about Kyle Larson. He's in the conversation as one of the greatest race car drivers on the planet, which is a great lucky for him. That's a hell of a conversation to be in. He's somebody that I hope a lot of guys emulate that are at that level, at the top level. How he has woven himself into the DNA of dirt track racing, but also as a series owner with High Limit. How much time that he has to put into that and has put into that over the last 3 or 4 years, that has been something that's needed a lot of time, needed a lot of his own personal touch. Obviously, he's very passionate about it and happy to do it, but I wish more guys would emulate that. Right, all of these guys that are racing at the Cup level have a lot to offer. To the roots where they came from. There's a lot that they could be doing to infuse a lot of good energy and excitement back into regional racing and wherever, like Bubba Wallace with Legends cars, right? He goes, runs Legend. He does that for fun, but it's incredible for all of those people that are there getting to race with him. And so, you kind of like to see that more from a lot of different competitors at the Cup level. Larson is a great example of that, how to continue to, keep the grounds fertile for all of the young drivers that are coming up through the ranks in the lower divisions.
2 to go. Keelan Harvick.
Yeah. I mean, he's like this, the next Cup champion in training. I don't know. I mean,
that's high praise.
Well, I think that's the objective, right? Yeah. Is to get him to Sunday and see him winning Cup races at some point. And he's young. He's got a lot of life to live and no rush to get there. He's going to have plenty of opportunity to continue to learn and grow. I think his dad's doing a phenomenal job putting him in different cars and different experiences and allowing him to not only grow behind the wheel, but as a young man, right? As he's having to do a lot of things outside of the car, getting all these experiences in terms of marketing and sponsors and fans and so forth. So he's a very lucky kid to have be in the position he's in. But I think Kevin's approach to this is very specific and I would assume that it would pay off, right, in success. And it's really up to Keelan, right, how far he wants this to go. And he's very talented.
Last one. Now, let me make sure I get all this right. The recently crowned Pro Spec off-road champion, Wyatt Miller.
Oh, Wyatt. Yeah. Wyatt is also on a similar path to Keelan, I think. And LW, his father, is very specific in where Wyatt's racing and what he's doing. And I'll be honest with you. I would have taken a little bit of a different approach and had him more on the asphalt side, but LW's had him in trucks, jumping, running out west, out in California, jumping these big hills and stuff. And the kid's great at everything he gets behind the wheel in. He's been running a ton of dirt with Chad Boat and that group, and over at Millbridge on any given Wednesday night. So, I mean, he's doing a little bit of everything. When he has got into some of our late model stuff, running limited to Hickory and so forth, he's had success, won races. So he has the core ability, and he's young, and it's just about now molding him into, getting the racecraft, getting him into the driver that makes great decisions. Also outside of the car, him growing as a man, earning respect from not just competitors, but fans and partners and viewership and so forth. So he's doing a good job. He's doing great, and he's still a kid, but he's kind of in that similar sort of vessel that Keelan's in. It's like, man, this is all gonna work out if all this goes well and you keep your head on straight. And so. And I've not really had a whole lot of involvement in Wyatt's deal, to be honest with you. But as he moves over into our late model stuff, he's going to run a little bit more of that this year. Then that's when I'll start to be around it a little bit more.
Sneaking one more in personally to me, as someone who grew up idolizing Scott Bloomquist. I've interviewed Scott Bloomquist over 500 times. And really, 500 times in my career. 500 times I've interviewed Scott Bloomquist. You had him on your podcast. Obviously, Scott's not with us anymore. I always said I interviewed Brett Favre, I interviewed NBA champions, NHL champions, I interviewed heads of state. I still think Scott Bloomquist, arguably one of the most interesting interviews I've ever done in my entire life. You had a chance to have him on your podcast. What was that like? There weren't many like him.
No, yeah. I mean, he definitely, I think that in the dirt world, to me, he's kind of like, he's a big personality, right? And just the name alone, kind of brings up, just a lot of emotion and a lot of memory. I think you interviewed him, I interviewed him. I think we all wanted to know really what made him tick, and I don't know that anybody ever really got to know what that was, right? And it wasn't that he wasn't personable. He'd answer any question you asked him, right? And super fascinating. I would have loved to have had the chance to talk to him 20 years ago, 10 years ago, to see this sort of evolution of what he became and who he was when he passed. Just a lot of questions still, a lot of questions unanswered. And, but he was a giant, in the dirt world, and just a guy that I think a lot of people respected, and just a unique character. Had a pretty amazing career.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
The deal. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.